Then it says he also allegedly groped an assistant multiple times and physically and emotionally abused other staffers. Ladies and gentlemen, if this is true, him being fired would probably be the least of his worries, because to me, what is going on to all you lovely people out there, and welcome back to my channel, or to my channel for the very first time. To the people that have been a part of the community for a while, this is a different video than I've ever done on the channel before. Now, I've covered behind the scenes things with like YouTube shorts, but I've never done like a full-on breakdown or discussion about a particular situation. And as you can see from the title of the video, and as you can see below me, we're talking about Beau Demayo versus Disney / Marvel Studios. So before we get into all the main topic of today, thank you again for clicking on the video. If you are new or this is your first time back to the channel in a while, I appreciate you all. Do me a favor. If you enjoy the commentary, if you enjoy this type of content, hit the thumbs up. More importantly, share your thoughts on this topic in the comment section, and consider sticking around by subscribing to the channel and hitting that bell notification. So with all that out of the way, let's get straight into it. So if this is your first time being exposed to Beau Demayo, the Disney situation, let me kind of give you a little crash course of what's going on. First and foremost, who is Beau Demayo? Well, he is a writer and producer who's been a part of projects such as The Originals, The Witcher, both the live action on Netflix series as well as the animated series on Netflix. He's also worked with Marvel Studios before. He worked on a couple episodes of Moon Knight, and he also was a part of the Blade movie, which he was doing some rewrites, but that didn't work out. That's another story for another day. But he was most recently the showrunner on the hit show revival of X-Men 97. Now, to that last point, showrunner. What is a showrunner? Well, essentially, if you are familiar with movies, that's essentially like the director of the particular project. He is he comes up with the ideas. He typically hires the writers and the staff and has like a foundational creative input on where the show is headed and the themes and the allegories and all the stuff the show has to offer. So with that being said, when you're a showrunner, a la a director, when the show's a hit, you get all the praise in the world. But when it's a miss, you get all the negative comments and all the backlash on the negativity around the show. So to say the least, the show X-Men 97 was a complete hit critically amongst the fans. I'm a big fan of the series. If you guys do not know, I grew up with the series, loved X-Men 97. It's one of my favorite shows of the year. It was an absolute hit. So now with that out of the way, let's talk about what actually happened. So X-Men 97 premiered earlier this year in March, and the week of, or a matter of fact, probably I think a couple days before the red carpet, it was announced officially that Beau Demayo, again the showrunner of this show, was officially let go, fired from Marvel Studios. They parted ways, no longer has ties to Disney or Marvel Studios, and everyone, including myself, was like, huh? Well, that's very strange. Like, behind the scenes, there's so many movies and shows where there's this stuff that we don't know about. People let go of their jobs, people move on to new positions, whatever the case may be, and it doesn't really get out too much. But when you have a showrunner release a matter of days before the premiere, that raised a red flag. From number one, a lot of people were thinking, well, does that speak to the quality of this show? Like, it was that bad to let them go? Or did something else happen behind the scenes, which we'll talk about in this video, obviously. But again, it was just like the rumors and the speculations were spreading, and lo and behold, the show premieres, I believe, the first 2 episodes on the red carpet, and then the week later, was released to everyone. And like I said earlier, it was a complete hit. It was just a well-written show. It hit on the themes that we loved from the original series. It added a new flavor to it, and it was just a great show. And as we kind of pivot into what happened after the fact, so obviously it's a great show. People are loving it. And I don't want to say it was a distraction, but the show was so good that some people were just like, what happened to Beau? But let me watch this new episode, and maybe the truth will come out eventually. But as the weeks go by, it's complete silence from both parties. I'm referring to Beau Demayo as well as Disney and Marvel Studios. No one knows what happened. And as the weeks are going on, lo and behold, we have episode 5 of X-Men 97, which was titled Remember It. Fantastic episode. A lot of big things happened. And as a fan of the original series and just of TV in general, it's like one of the best episodes of TV this year, and maybe the best episode of the the entire series of the already great series X-Men 97. It's a fantastic episode. And come along episode 5, Beau Demayo, who again was completely silent, Disney was completely silent, but he comes on Twitter and shares his insight on his inspiration of where the episode stems from. Now, you all can look it up, and I'll put it on the screen now about kind of the inspiration, the true life, the real life situation where he was inspired and where he got the kind of the actual backbone of this episode. Really well, broken down explanation of the episode. And again, the episode is fantastic. Now, to catch you guys back up as far as before episode 5 and obviously after episode 5, everyone online, including myself, is like, what did he do? Well, this is such a great show. It's written so well. It's put together so well. And again, there's hundreds, if not thousands, of great other artists and creatives and writers that are part of the show. But again, he's the face. So everyone was like, bring Beau back. Why is he fired? Justice for Beau. Hashtag justice for Beau. Again, nothing was happening. And as the weeks were going on, episode 6, 7, 8, and all the way through the finale, he was still sharing like insights, inspirations, what he came up with, certain costumes and themes and storylines. He was still sharing his insight while the show was going on all the way up to the finale. Now, the show has officially ended. Again, critically, it's a hit. It's a, big hit for Disney Plus. Everyone's loving it, but we haven't heard much of anything besides Beau sharing his thoughts on the show and the themes and the episodes. But now we head to things are starting to kind of rear its head as far as how he feels about certain situations. So that brings us to, as you all can see on the screen now, July 17th. We got the Emmy nominations. X-Men, again, excellent show, was nominated for an Emmy for outstanding animated program category. I think it's going to win. I haven't seen all the animated shows this year, but I've seen some pretty good ones, and this is my favorite one, and I do think it's going to win. And as you all can see, Beau was happy about the announcement, thanks the Emmys. But then he has something else to say a couple weeks later. So then that brings us to August 12th. And as you all can see, to those asking, Marvel and Disney has not reached out to arrange my attendance to the Emmys for the show I created. And then you can also see kind of below me, it says, well, someone asked them like, what happened? And you say, we'll see, my team has reached out. Listen, to each their own. But to me, when you're let go from a company, I would think that it would be kind of weird or maybe not professional to attend celebrations of award ceremonies of shows as you were like. Yes, he big part of it, creative showrunner. I would imagine if they win, they probably will win. He'll probably get his Emmy mailed to him. But I kind of looked at it as, whether it's in a professional corporate situation, or I'm a big sports fan. I'm going to use this as a sports analogy, whether it's baseball, football, basketball, soccer, you name it. I look at it as Beau Demayo was the coach of the team, and he was there day one. He was there for the hiring of the staff. He was there for, drafting the players. He was there in the preseasons, coming up with the schemes, coming up with the offense, coming up with the defense, the starting lineups, all the way up to the preseason. And then as soon as the game 1 of the season began, he was let go. So that means all the other people had to step into his role, the assistant coaches, so on and so forth. And as the season went by, it's a hit team. It's a great team. They go to championship. They win. And as they're getting their trophy for winning the NBA finals or winning the Super Bowl, that will be like the coach that was let go coming on stage and taking the trophy and celebrating with the team. Is like that doesn't happen. So I would think that him not going to the Emmys was pretty standard, that he wasn't going to be invited, but that's just my personal opinion on that particular situation. So now that brings us to, as you all can see, to August 14th at 11:24 p.m. And let's just say that one comment I just had that I just shared with you all of him saying he wasn't invited, let's just call that strike 1 from Disney's perspective. That's strike 1. Let's talk about strike 2. So on August 14th, Beau Demayo shares this comment. He tweets, "This is disgraceful. I can't say I'm surprised." Now, as you all can see on the screen, this is a whole other topic for another day, but there's a situation going on where a husband and wife went to Disney World, and the wife had an allergic reaction and she passed away, and the husband's now suing Disney. And again, this is a wild story. Look it up if you want more information. But from what I gather, Disney said that this is not as you all can see on the screen, the news is talking about it. Disney wants this to be thrown away because from their perspective, the husband signed up for Disney Plus after his wife died, and apparently in the terms and conditions of Disney Plus, you can't sue Disney once you agree to their terms with having Disney Plus. Wild story. Again, my thoughts and prayers to the husband, but it's a wild story. But nonetheless, let's just say this is strike 2 for Beau because of his comments again towards Disney. You didn't invite me to the Emmys, strike 1. from Disney's perspective. He shares his thoughts on how disgraceful Disney has handled this particular situation, and he's not surprised. So again, if you're taking tallies at home, let's just call that strike two. So from our baseball fans out there, we got strike one, strike two. Let's call this strike three, and that was last night at 8:10 p.m. last night. I'm scrolling through my Instagram. I follow him on Twitter, and I saw this feed, and he shares this post here. As you all can see, this is a fan art of Beau Demayo as the character Cyclops. And if you read his comments here, he says, "Firstly, I'm so grateful to have worked on X-Men 97, collaborating with some amazing, talented folks. Creating this revival was a dream come true, and the support from the fans have shown was so touching. However, I felt it pressing to me to speak up on the wake of leaving the show." So as I retweeted this and said, "Oh, the cat's out of the bag." And as you all can see, as I scroll down here, this is what he had to say about why he was let go from the show. So as you all can see, Beau Demayo said that above is an X-Men fan art that he posted on his Instagram for Pride Gay Month in June. And on the 13th of June, Marvel sent him a letter notifying him that he was stripped away from all of his credits for season 2 of X-Men 97. He then says, sadly, this is the latest in a troubling pattern that he suffered through while working with X-Men and Blade. Obviously, like I had mentioned earlier, he was brought in to do rewrites, but that didn't work out because Blade right now is just like a cursed project. Then, as you all can also see, he says that I have more to say soon, but must take a step back from social media to find a safer space for me to be out proud and nerdy. Stay tuned. So again, that was late last night as I'm recording this, with Beau Demayo sharing his perspective and sharing his claims on why he was let go from X-Men 97 as the showrunner. So before moving on, as I was editing this video, I realized that I didn't point this out, and I want to make a clarification. Beau Demayo saying that he was let go and stripped away of all of his credits for season 2 was due to this post on June 13th. This had nothing to do with him being fired in March, but this had everything to do with him being let go and not giving credit for season 2. So for the rest of this video, when I'm referring to him being let go, this was me thinking that this was the reason he was let go in March, but no, that's not the case. This is him being removed from season 2, and it had nothing to do with his removal of season 1. So I want to make that clarification. So enjoy the rest of the video. But the thing that I found to be very interesting is how quickly Marvel respond. Because if you follow Marvel behind the scenes, people being let go, the Jonathan Major situation and various situations throughout productions of shows and movies and things of that nature, they tend to kind of, as they did with the Beau Demayo, keep silent. There's really no response. But this is a much different situation because Marvel responded very quickly. So as you all can see here, this is from the Hollywood Reporter from Boris Kidd. And look at the timestamp. This was yesterday, last night at 8:41 p.m. Now, the reason I put an emphasis on the timestamp is because going back to Beau's tweet of the fan art and his claims on why he was let go, that was at 8:10 p.m. Central Time, my time. So we're talking 30 minutes later, this article from Hollywood Reporter was released. Listen, I'm no behind the scenes journalist or what have you, but to me, it gives me an indication that someone from the Hollywood Reporter or Variety or someone within the sphere of journalism text Beau, call Beau and say, hey, the time has come. They're about to put an article, and the whole silence, this whole last 4, 5, 6 months will no longer be silent. So I think someone warned him, and he kind of tried to, again, I'm not a PR crisis manager, but you hear the stories, you want to get ahead of a story. So to me, Beau making that tweet and him trying to create his own narrative and have, his own perspective out there before Disney and Marvel put something out. And again, strike 1, strike 2, strike 3, the iron was hot. They were going to release the story anyway. He wanted to get ahead of the story 30 minutes prior to what was released. So let's actually talk about Marvel's response now. So as the headline reads, he was stripped of season 2 credit, cites egregious investigation finding. This is exclusive to the Hollywood Reporter. Let's talk about it here. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I'm going to highlight some things. You all can read the full Variety article. I'm going to leave that in the description below. But basically, the first half talks about obviously everything I just talked to you all about, Beau Demayo's response, all that stuff. But then Marvel, as they say here, Marvel shot back very quickly soon after his statements, and the Hollywood Reporter says they gave insight on his firing, saying that it was internal investigation that revealed egregious findings. So as we scroll down to the rest of the article, the next thing is from Marvel, and as they said here, Mr. Demayo was terminated in March of 2024 following an internal investigation, said a Marvel spokesman in a statement. Given the egregious nature of the findings, we severed ties with him immediately legally, and he was no longer further had any affiliation with Marvel. Now, if we look at the very next sentence and we scroll down and we look at what they said here, and I'll scroll it up here for you all can see. Again, you can find the full article in the description of this video, but sources close to the situation says that there was an agreement between the two parties, Beau and Disney Marvel, that he wasn't going to be talking about, according to this, was against the agreement made between the two parties. So he breached this agreement they have. And once he did that, he was removed from season 2, which again was what made him do that initial tweet about the whole fan art or what have you. So there's no details of the cause of termination. And this is where things get a little sticky. But it seems to be that sources are saying that his reason of being let go was due to sexual misconduct. So after that, a couple hours later, we have Beau Demayo. This is again now it's like 11:30 at night. This is Disney Marvel's usual playbook: legal letters as well as other items to prove their long-standing pattern to follow. It's about finding a safe outlet and thanks for your faith and patience. And also, he has this to say as well. Just minutes later, he also added on: the truth will be revealed after the Disney disaster, the Disney Plus disaster, which I talked about earlier. Marvel wants to mislead and allege contract breaching over tweets. It's tragic. It's come to this, but unsurprising. Stay tuned. Now, that was late last night. That was the last kind of thing that was left off. As it is the new day, and it is now 12 o'clock p.m. where I'm at, there has been an update from Disney and also Beau Demayo's side. So as of this morning, we have an insider, Jeff Insider, as you all can see. This is his page. You can, I think you can subscribe. He has like a subscription situation that you all can check out. But he shared his inside information on what he knows about what happened and what, the comment of sexual misconduct. He went into extent of what that actually meant. So again, check out Jeff Snyder. You can go to his website, subscribe to his newsletter to find out more details. But as far as an overview of what he actually wrote into his newsletter, let's talk about that. So this is coming from Discussing Film. Again, just a brief overview. Again, subscribe to Jeff's newsletter to get more insight. I'll leave the link to his website in the description. But basically what Jeff wrote last night or this morning: Beau Demayo allegedly sent nude photos of himself in sexually suggestive hero poses to several young male staffers working on X-Men 97, saying that they would use that as inspiration. Then it says he also allegedly groped an assistant multiple times and physically and emotionally abused other staffers. Ladies and gentlemen, if this is true, him being fired would probably be the least of his worries, because to me, sending nude photos, completely, number one, is inappropriate, but also from a professional standpoint, completely unprofessional. And the second part of that, the physical touching, groping, younger staffers, physically, emotionally being abusive, that's horrible. If this comes out to be true, I hope that those people that were abused and groped and sent those photos has some sense of closure, whether that's legally, emotionally. I hope that there's closure on their end if this comes to be true. Now, fast forward to Beau's perspective and his response. This comes from Deadline exclusively, and it says Beau Demayo's lawyer accuses Disney of gaslighting, hints at legal action following dismissal of X-Men 97 and credit removal. Again, you all can read the full article, but just a brief rundown. Freeman is a lawyer that Beau Demayo has hired to take on this situation, it seems to be going that legal route. It says Freeman did not address the specifics to the allegations, but he said to had blasted Disney's practices and refers to it illegal multiple times of a situation. He has had experience with Disney, and he says very similar to what Beau says. Freeman says this is part of Disney's playbook, family friendly outside, but then secretly they're doing illegal things and breaching contracts. And as the article said, pretty much like gaslighting the situation. And if we scroll down, they kind of give a little insight that, Freeman has represented other people that has been let go in a matter that's not right. So he's represented. As he further says that, they will be taking legal action. More details will come out in the coming days. And just scrolling down to the last part here, as he says, as for my client, Beau Demayo wants nothing from Disney/Marvel except for the truth. Freeman says he will bravely talk about the truth. So will I. Stand by. So that's where we are. Just a recap: Beau Demayo, showrunner of Marvel, Disney, X-Men, was let go in March. didn't say nothing for weeks. Episode 5, he comes out, starts talking about the inspiration, how the show went all the way up to the finale. Leading up to days later, he criticizes Disney for not inviting him to the Emmys. He talks about a situation that Disney's going on with someone suing them. And then he brings up why he was let go in June. Then from Disney's perspective, like I said, they had an article ready to come out. So someone knew who was going to make the move first. And like I said, it seemed like Beau wanted to get his story out there first, because 30 minutes later, in comes Hollywood Reporter, sexual misconduct, and then in comes the insiders, Jeff Snyder, and I'm sure other people will share their 2 cents in the matter, if not already, as I'm recording this. Word is that it was him sending nude photos to younger male employees of sexual poses and costumes, saying that it was used as inspiration. And again, this goes back to, not to sidetrack, but there was a lot of speculation of, if you guys don't know, Beau Demayo had his own personal OnlyFans account even before he was working with Disney. And a lot of people were speculating that's why they let him go. But he had OnlyFans when he was hired, so that wasn't the case. But again, this goes back to the OnlyFans of it all. If you follow him on Twitter, he does have very suggestive poses and whatnot, and to each your own, whatever the case may be. But if you're sending people unwarranted nudes and using it as inspiration, that's on some weird stuff, to say the least. So sending nude photos and groping employees and yelling at them, emotionally being abusive, physically being abusive, that's where Disney's coming from. And then obviously, as I just read you all, Beau Demayo's lawyer saying that this is not true. This is gaslighting situation. This is typical Disney, misleading information, misleading people to take their side. So speaking of sides, again, we don't know the truth. There's as the saying is, there's, always so many sides of the story. There's, the one side, the other side, and then there's the truth. So we don't know what the truth is, but I'm assuming, with lawyers being involved, things being said about sexual misconduct, groping, things of that nature, there will be further legal proceedings moving forward. So last but not least, just my thought situation. Again, if this is to be true, as far as the sexual misconduct, the nudes, the groping, I really hope that those people that were affected can find some type of closure in the situation, because that is really inappropriate and unprofessional. I could just imagine, working your way up, working with Disney, working with Marvel. This is a dream come true. And then you have this person who's, you look at as, inspiration, as the leader of this ship, and they are completely despicable, terrible human being. But then, on the flip side, if Beau, if it was consensual, it was, adults all agreed of, this is just how we work. They send me news, I send them news. They wanted me to send them nudes. I'm not here to judge people's interactions of work. And the groping, it was consensual. Listen, if he has his receipts, his proofs that these people that he was interacting with was well aware and approved this behavior, that's his situation with them. But again, going back to a professional setting, sending news to one another, physically touching each other. I don't know how far things went into the offices of Disney, but I'm pretty confident that it's in a contract that those things aren't considered to be good behavior or professional behavior on the work site. So we'll see what comes of this. If something else comes up, maybe I'll do another video or short, or whatever the case may be. Again, for those that are part of the channel, new to the channel, let me know if this is something you want to see, not just stuff like this, talking about, the hiring of directors and new actors and stories. Let me know if these are individual videos you'd like to see moving forward. But nonetheless, let me know your thoughts on the situation. Beau Demayo versus Disney, Marvel. What do you think the outcome is going to be? Which side are you leaning on? Let's talk about it in the comments below. Thank you all for watching this video. Like, share, comment, subscribe to the channel. Check out the content that I have available on the channel now. More on my movie reviews, TV reviews. Alien Romulus got a full breakdown of that movie, so check it out. But again, thank you for watching the video. Stay safe. You all are awesome. And I'll catch you all on the next breakdown.
Yeah.